In today's video, I will be giving you guys 15 NBA players that I believe are poised for a breakout season. And the first person that I believe will break out is Andrew Nembhard. And I'm probably not the first person you heard saying this because, Halliburton's going down and he's going to be thrusted into that second option. Most likely, he might be the first option. Him and Siakam, they'll go, first and second option, take turns. We'll see really what is going to be there. But last season, he averaged 10 points throughout the regular season, but elevated a little bit in the playoffs. And I just feel like his 10 points, he averaged 3.3 rebounds and 5 assists. And I could easily see him getting, 15 to 20 points, easily. And he could definitely probably average like 4 rebounds and maybe get up to like 6 or 7 assists. And I just believe that he's going to stay efficient. He's a really good, efficient, 3-point shooter, really good, efficient, off two as well. And I just feel like he's just a very underrated player, like really good on defense. And I just think that him taking this offensive leap in this, system that he's going to be in now, where he's going to be forced, to take a lot more shots, to create a lot more. And you've seen him in the playoffs, he created a lot. And I think that you've seen in specific times where when Halliburton's either off the court or when he's just giving the ball and like, just go get a bucket, you've seen him be able to, elevate his game to another level, and just with his on-ball creation, with his passing, and overall just his scoring. Like, he's a really good, he's really good from step backs, from mid-range, and he's not a bad finisher. So I just feel like overall, I think that he's definitely poised for a breakout season in the role that he's going to be in this year, which is a much higher role. And I feel like it's just going to be overall much more like of a responsibility on him to create and to just get buckets, and I feel like that's what he's going to be focusing a lot more. I don't know if his defense will take a step back or his efficiency a little bit, but I just feel like I don't see any reason why he doesn't average 15 to 20 points on still decent efficiency and still playing great defense, because the opportunity is going to be there. And he's going to have a lot of opportunity with the ball in his hands to get assists as well as to score. So I feel like he's definitely a good candidate for the first breakout. The next breakout candidate I have is Miles McBride, who quietly had a really good season last year. He shot around 40% from 3. He averaged 9.5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on, like I said, decent efficiency. He wasn't great from 2 because I feel like he just had a bad finishing season, but overall, like on his mid-ranges and on his threes, he had really, really solid efficiency, and we saw a decent leap in his on-ball creation. And I think that with his passing abilities and his shooting, it's going to be very prevalent, because I believe that he'll start this year. If not, he'll play increased minutes, because I believe that they're going to cut Josh Hart's minutes out by a decent amount, just because he doesn't need to be playing those high minutes. You could see the wear and tear on him as he just got worse and worse throughout the year. His shot, he got picked up a lot of knick-knack injuries. He had the knee issue so he couldn't go coast to coast anymore. And I just think Josh Hart has a way better role as like an energizer bunny, just coming off the bench for like 20 to 25 minutes, just giving me the best those minutes. And I think that's going to be really good for his career as he ages and gets into his 30s. And I just think that McBride fits a lot better as a 2 guard, next to Brunson, and can also play the 1 or the 2 with Clarkson. So I feel like he's a very versatile player you can insert into any lineup. And last year he was already a positive player. In every positive lineup the Knicks had, McBride was in there. So I feel like if you slot him next to Brunson, in the starting lineup, I could easily see him averaging like 15 points, maybe like 3.5 rebounds, maybe like 4 assists. Just another creator there, another on-ball guy, great on-ball defender. And I feel like he unlocks everyone else on the defense to play their roles better as being that on-ball guy. So Bridges and OG can just be playing like that safety kind of role and just roaming around, getting a ton of steals and turnovers. So I feel like I could definitely see him getting a breakout season for the Knicks. Next up, I have Asar Thompson, who, he didn't have a great beginning of the season, but as the season went on, you could see he got better and better and better. And he's been dealing with a lot of injuries in his, first 2 years so far. So that's kind of hampered him a little bit, but he still averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.3 assists. And I think that that's definitely going to go up, where I feel like there's more shots opening up with Malik Beasley being off the team most likely. And they got rid of Tim Hardaway. So I feel like them losing a couple guys was really good for is going to be really good for Asar Thompson's development, and I think that if he can continue to like grow and develop as like just on the offensive end, because he's really good on defense, he's not a bad rebounder, and he didn't play like a ton of minutes, so I feel like he really could easily, if his minutes goes up a bit, I think I could see him averaging maybe 15 points, 6 or 7 rebounds, maybe 3 to 4 assists, and he shoots, he's decent efficiency from like 2 point and from like layups. He's a good finisher and a great defender. If his shot could come around a little bit, I think he could definitely be a really decent breakout candidate and be a very impactful player for the Pistons. Next up, I have Taylor Hendricks, who is a very underrated player. I think a lot of people kind of forget about him because he's been very injured in his first 2 seasons. He hasn't played a ton of games. He only played 34, or I mean, only played 3 games last year and 43 or 40 games his first year. And last year, he did nothing impressive. Obviously, he averaged like 5 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist, but he only played 3 games, so it's not really a good sample size. But if you combine the 2 years, he did average 7 points, he averaged 5 rebounds, and he averaged 1 assist, which you're like, oh, that's not great. But when he ramps up and he gets it, he's really like a really solid power forward player, really solid on defense. He's got like decent creation. He could shoot the ball. I mean, I just think that he needs to just stay healthy. And I feel like the Jazz they're building out their young core, and there's definitely a place for him along with like Walker Kessler and Ace Bailey and those kind of guys that are there's a lot of room for the wings there. So I just feel like it'll be really good for him to just get another year of development, and for him to, if he can play a full year this season, I would not be surprised if he averaged 10 to like 12 points. If he averaged like again, maybe like 7 rebounds. He could average 2 3 assists. He's not going to be a great passer, but I think he could be a solid 3 point shooter, and he's a good enough finisher and defender that he could be just a solid rotational piece. And I think that he's very underrated and very overlooked. The next player I have is Keon Ellis from the Kings, who, I mean, he had a quietly good season without playing a lot of minutes. He averaged 8.3 points. He averaged 3 rebounds, and he averaged 1.5 assists on really good efficiency. I mean, he's just really good defender, and I think that in his role he could average, a nice like 10 to 12 points. He could average, 4 rebounds and maybe like 2 assists. They just gotta play him. The Kings weren't playing him a lot last year, and I don't know why. He just kind of fell out of favor. But I feel like if he plays a good amount of minutes, he could definitely, he definitely has the potential to be one of those players that you're like, wow, this is a really great player, and he's just gonna excel in his role as just that, similar to Deuce McBride, that like shooter, that 3-and-D kind of guard that could play the 2 or the 1. But he is 6'4", so he has a little bit of size to him too. But he's a little lanky, a little skinny, but he's only 25, and I think he's poised for a breakout year next year. And I think that overall, he just needs to get that opportunity, and I believe that he could definitely excel in his role. Another guy is, Brandon Miller. I feel like you guys are seeing a little bit of a pattern here of, very injury prone guys that can create, guys that are just a little kind of fell out of favor a little bit of like forgotten guys, because of injuries and stuff like that. But that really is going to be the breakouts. I mean, he only played, what did he play? He only played how many games? Let me see. Not a lot of games last year. He only played about, I think he only played 30 or 40 games, something like that. Didn't play a ton of games last year. Only played about like 30 games, and he averaged 21 points. He averaged 5 rebounds, and he averaged almost 4 assists, 3.6 assists on solid efficiency. I mean, from the field overall, his field goal percentage was 40.3, but I just feel like it could definitely be up a lot more. I think but he did shoot 38% from 3, so I feel like if he stays at that 21, maybe he goes up to like 23 points per game. I think that they're adding a good infrastructure of guys around them that can all shoot, can all like play make decently. And I just feel like, yeah, there's not a lot of great defense there, but I feel like if he can give his all on offense and be able to have some decent playmakers around him and, also be able to play make too, I just feel like he could easily average like 23, 24 points. He could average like 6 assists. I mean, not 6 assists, 6 rebounds, and probably like 4 or 5 assists. I think all his numbers would just go up next year, and I think that it's very good and, can't be understated playing with LaMelo, great playmaker like that. I feel like someone like Brandon Miller is just really going under the radar. he's a really tall, lengthy kind of player, and he's a really good, solid finisher, solid athlete, but really strives, I feel like, in the mid range and behind the 3 point line, and he's a damn good shooter. And I feel like he's just very underrated, flying under the radar, and could easily average like 20, 22, 23 plus points, on decent efficiency. And I think would he people will start seeing, who he really is. Next up, I have Modest Buzelis, who, his numbers don't look very impressive. Oh, he only averaged, basically 9 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1 assist. But it's the efficiency and it's in his role. He was playing very little minutes early on in the year and just gradually ramped up throughout the year where, he was posting up a bunch of games where he was getting 20 points, 17, 19. Like he was getting 14, 28, 31. Like he was having a lot of big outings. Like the last couple months of the year, you really saw him getting some playing time. And after the trade deadline, you saw them, get rid of Zach LaVine and get rid of some of these other guys who were taking away shots from him. And I think that, they did lose a couple other guys who aren't really going to be on the team, or and I just feel like they're prioritizing him a little bit. So I think that he could easily average like 15 points, like 5 or 6 rebounds, and at least like 2 assists on really solid efficiency. If he could develop a 3 pointer, I think that he would be even more impactful. But really, really solid defender, great athlete, 6'10 plus, and overall just pretty versatile player. I feel like he's just a very underrated player. I think he had a really good rookie year, and I think that it can't be understated that he really was, in a very diminished role, and really could have averaged a lot more if he was played throughout the whole season. And you could just see him like night and day from when they removed some of the guys that were taking his minutes, and they gave him more minutes, and they removed the guys that were taking the ball out of his hand. And then, when they were gone, and then he was just able to just completely cook and just do his own thing. You could see he was just second half, just a completely different player. So I really think Modest Ellis could have a great season this year. Next is Grady Dick, who, I mean, he's just a very underrated player. He's another one. He got injured last year, but quietly averaged 14.5 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 2 assists on okay efficiency. I mean, he did shoot 41% from the field, but he's mainly a 3 point sniper, which he shot about 38%. So, I mean, you give me 38 to like 40%. I'll take that any day of the week for a good sniper. And I mean, 14.5 points for a down year for him, and just, I mean, didn't get to play a lot of games either, is just that's really, really impressive. And I feel like he just, I mean, even the year before, I think he averaged about 18 points. So I could see him average 18 to like 20 points a game on that Raptors team, and they need that shooting guard there that can just shoot up. Because if you have him and you have Brandon Ingram, you have Barrett, you have Quickly, you have all these guys that can shoot around them, and to shoot around Scotty Barnes and whoever that center is going to be. But I feel like it's just, you need the guys around them that can play the minutes, that can shoot around Scotty Barnes, who's not a great shooter, and just let him rock out, let him do his thing. Just put up a bunch of guys that can just shoot around him, and a bunch of guys that are gonna not clog the paint and stuff like that. So I think he'll probably have a little bit of an elevated role. I think he has decent playmaking around him and Quickly and Barrett, and I think that, yeah, I could see him in a heightened role, easily being able to break out and give you like 18 points at least. Really solid efficiency, and just really just be a sniper. Just really, really good shooter. I think that, yeah, I think that the Raptors will be a lot better this year, a lot higher play, and hopefully he stays healthy and could break out next year. Next, I have Max Christie, who, another similar type of player, 3-and-D kind of guy, who quietly averaged 10 points. He had 3.3 rebounds and 2 assists on solid efficiency. I mean, he's really 3-and-D wing type of guy, and I think that the Mavs would need a lot of guard help there because, I mean, Kyrie's gone. I mean, not gone, but he's hurt for most of the year. So I think that Christie will play a lot there for like those guard openings, and I think him being there along with a couple other guys, I think him being that guy for Cooper Flag and for Anthony Davis and Derek Lively and all these bigs that they're gonna be there and grinding down in the paint. I think that them having a nice shooter that they can just pass the ball to and be able to space the floor and be able to play really good defense, I just think that he's going to really contribute and have a better year next year. And I think you could see later in the year, the last couple games he was playing, he was averaging like way more points. I mean, he was really had a bunch of games where he was giving you 17, 18 points a game. So I could easily see him averaging probably like 15 points, keeping, really good efficiency. Probably only get like 4 boards, maybe like 3 assists, but I think that he's gonna know his role, and I think that in that role he could easily help them out earlier in the year. Next, I have Jared McCain, who, I feel like he's a perfect guy for breakout because he was breaking out before he got hurt, and I just feel like 15 points, 2.5 rebounds and 2.5 assists. It's solid as it is, but I could see him averaging 20 plus points a game along with Maxi playmaking, and I think that Paul George's fall off will fall into that a smaller role, and I think that if he could be a second option and like he could prove to really just to be and just thrive in that role. I mean, he can get his shot off from anywhere on the court. Really, really, really good 3-level scorer. And, overall, I mean, just a really good, solid all around like player, like offensively at least. I mean, defensively, he leaves a little bit to be desired, but I feel like he's still young. He's still, learning, developing. And I think that I don't see why he can't average 20 points a game, which for a stretch he was averaging about that before he got hurt. He was averaging a really good amount of points before he got that injury. But yeah, I think he'll average 20 points, just be a great spot up shooter, get his shot off anywhere on the court. And I think him and Maxi will be a fairly dynamic backcourt. Or is it front court? I don't know. Either way, they'll be really good guards next to each other. Yeah, so next I have Alperen Şengün, who, I mean, I just think that he's been getting defensive leap after defensive leap, and he's a guy that really fills out the stat sheet. I mean, 19 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 5 assists on 50% from the field. You're like, oh, wow, what can he really improve on? I think he can improve on his three-point shooting. I think that, he's going to continue to have Van Vliet and some of these other guys, but now he has Kevin Durant, who's a great playmaker and is going to take a ton of attention off of him. So they're going to sag off him. They're not going to respect that shot, but if he has playmakers around him and he has other, shooters that are better shooters now than he had before in, Dorian Finney-Smith, Kevin Durant, those kind of guys that are just going to shoot the lights out of the ball, I think that there'll be a lot less pressure on him, a lot less, attention to him along, with Kevin Durant and everything. So I feel like he could average 22, 23 points. I mean, he's 7 feet tall and he's a great rebounder. And I just think that the overall also, like, the paint's going to be a lot less clogged with them adding 2 or 3 like really good spacers, and he could play with or without a center. So I think that's also another aspect of versatile kind of piece that, they can play, he can play 2 positions, the power forward or the center. And I think that, you could run a lot of versatile lineups too. And I think another defensive leap and another shooting leap. And I think that, he's a very, very skilled player. So I feel like with him taking those 2 leaps, I don't see why he would not, have a good increase in stats. I think probably stay similar on rebounds. Maybe he gets about 6 assists and he could average, probably 22, 23 points. So yeah, I mean, really, really good player. And I think he'll take a big leap. Next is a more lesser known guy, Terrence Shannon Jr., who's been lighting it up in the summer league. I mean, just summer league standout, great, and had a really good postseason as well for the Timberwolves. And I think that he's gonna really be able to replace that Nickeil Alexander-Walker in that wing 2-2-3 kind of hybrid guard type of thing. I mean, 1 or 2, whatever you want to say, 1 to 3. And yeah, I mean, he's gonna average way more points. I mean, he had a very diminished role, but was very efficient in that role. And he only did average 4 points, 1.5 rebounds, 1 assist, but that's going to shoot up. I think he should double that. I think he'll average 8 to 10 points, probably 3 rebounds, and probably about 2 assists. I think he'll double all those stats. And if he could stay relatively efficient, he could be a good wing for them. And he could play with Anthony Edwards. He could, not. I think he'll just most likely be a really good guard off the bench, a nice wing. And he seems to be lighting it up on defense. And he's a solid offensive player. So I think he could definitely become something. And even if he is just a solid rotational piece, like, every team needs somebody like that. So I think that, yeah, he'll have a great year for him, and I think he should get a lot better. Another guy is Keontae George, who's kind of at combo guards. He's 6'4", a little bit lighter, but quietly averaged 17, 4, and 5.6 assists, which almost rounded up to 6. I mean, not great efficiency, but he's a good shooter, good playmaker, and he can fill out that stat sheet. So I feel like he's a really good scorer and averaged 18 plus for good stretches of the year. So I feel like it's not crazy to say he could average 20 plus points next year with maybe 6 or 7 assists, maybe 4 or 5 rebounds, and that's a really good guard. That's a really good solid starting caliber guard. And I think that another year under his belt, and I think that he could just continue to develop. He's only 21. He only played 2 years, and yeah, he's going to continue to develop, and with a lot of other really good young guys on that team. And I think that that's really what is needed. They really need those like great young guards who can just you know got young guys that can just build a core there that is gonna last, and they can become maybe like the next OKC. Obviously not to the same degree probably, but you have that good young core, and I think that there's a lot of opportunities opened up now too, with the departures of Sexton, Collins. Um, they also lost Clarkson, so a lot of shots are opening up for him and Taylor Hendricks and even Bryce Sensabaugh. So I really like the direction where they're going, and I think he'll have a breakout season. Next is Scoot Henderson, who I mean he had a decent year last year, not very efficient year, but I mean just 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. 42% from the field, not great. He's shooting the ball a little bit better, but I think that if he could take another shooting leap, continue to be a good downhill scorer, pretty athletic, and maybe get the rebounds up a little bit. I think that he could just continue to grow and continue to develop on a team that's getting a lot better. He's getting more veteran leadership, and Anthony Simons is gone now, so the ball's in your hands a lot more, Scoot Henderson, and you don't have any other guards really competing for that job for you. So I feel like it's going to be really, really, really open job for him, and I think that I don't see any reason why he can't just break out in the role that he's in and just soar and average maybe 15 to 20 points, get his efficiency up a little bit. And then the guy I just mentioned, Anthony Simons, who last year had a really, really good year. He averaged 19, 3, and 5 on okay efficiency, but he can really shoot the ball at a high clip, and he can shoot it with a high volume as well, which is really good. So I think on a Celtics team that's pretty depleted, outside of Derek White, Jaylen Brown, it's not much else there. And I think that they do have some decent shooters though overall, and I think that his assists will probably go up to probably 6, and he could rebound a little bit more. I think he should play good minutes. Him and Pritchard should be sharing those minutes, and he is 6'3", so he's not a great defender, but maybe he can play next to Pritchard as well when Derek White isn't there, or vice versa, whatever. But I think that him and Pritchard can share the court. But I think in 30 plus minutes, I think he could average 23 points, probably 3-4 rebounds, and maybe 5 or 6 assists. So yeah, I just think that overall he's going to become a lot more known, and I think that the light will be a lot more on him, and he's going to be in a more prevalent role on a decentish team, like a solid team, probably better than most of the years with the Blazers. But yeah, that's about all I got for you guys. So yeah, I pretty much just wrapped the video up. I just hope you guys could just like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, if there's any more breakout NBA players that you think that I missed, if you agree with the ones, or just pretty much anything that you think will add to the video, anything that you think I should add in, any new types of content that you want me to make, anything like that. But yeah, I'll see you on the next video.